Good morning, soccer fans. This is Jonathan Ward. I am here at the United Soccer Coaches Convention in Anaheim, California, and I'm pleased to be joined by Southern Utah University coach Kai Edwards. Kai, thanks so much for taking the time to join me this morning, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
So, you've been in the game for a while. You're an LA native, so you get to come home for a few days before heading back to colder weather and
Yes.
5 feet of snow in Utah. But tell us a little bit about your journey and how you ended at Southern Utah.
Yeah, I'm originally from San Pedro, which is in Los Angeles, so about 40 minutes away from here. I grew up playing every single sport, along with Taekwondo a lot. I was a rec soccer player till 14, 15. Went from about 5'1", 190 to 5'10", 135 in about 6 months. So got a lot more athletic and fast, and played for Fram and Nomads and Wolfpack and some clubs, and went, through the whole process. Went to junior college for a year, but didn't play because I was younger. So I played club still, U18, and went to San Francisco State for 2 years. It just wasn't for me, and transferred to Sonoma State. Was part of the national championship team there, and then met the Zemer brothers, who are big coaching education people, and got me into coaching education. I got my C license while in college, and went up to Western Washington. Was a volunteer assistant for Travis, who's still there. Kept getting my licensing, went to Europe, learned, and through that journey was the head coach at St. Mary's College and Moraga in the West Coast Conference, worked at Arizona State, Michigan, Cal, and now landed here. Been at Southern Utah University for 4 seasons.
Your experience with Southern Utah is a little different, though, because you actually came in 2020. 2-3 months later, COVID hits, and so you kind of started off on the wrong foot, essentially.
Yeah, I was tasked to turn the program around, and it's really hard to turn the program around when you can't go out and recruit or coach your team. But what we did is we sat, and Mario was my assistant at the time. He's now at Kansas State as an assistant. But we sat there and said, okay, we can complain about it, we can do this, or we can find out how to be successful in the parameters that we were given. We can't go out and recruit, and we can't coach our team, but we're still tasked at improving our program. So we worked on the structure of the program when we came back. What was practice going to look like? What time was practice? How are we going to travel? Everything. We broke down everything, almost a quality control analysis. And then we recruited like crazy through every avenue, through video, through max prep stats, everything we can possibly do, because in the end, nobody cares that you were in that situation. All they care about was, did you find ways to be successful when you came out of it? So we worked really hard and just found different ways to get to where we needed to get to.
As a coach, every stop has a story and a learning opportunity. What is the biggest thing that you've been able to learn going through the processes, coaching at some of these schools, and now having the opportunity to build this program in Utah a lot bigger?
Yeah, I mean, I think Colin Cowherd said it best for me: don't chase money, chase leadership. And if you need money, leadership will make you money. So I think that was key, and I chased leadership to Southern Utah, and it was great. And they supported me. They knew my strengths and my weaknesses, and surrounded me around people and environments that help with those, but also allowed me to be me, which was important to me. I get nostalgic about it because, when we took it over, we bet on ourselves. It wasn't taking over traditional power. We were the first winning season in school history in 20 years. And so in the end, you had to recruit to what you wanted without it ever having been done before. So whenever people are like, did you build them back up? I'm like, well, they weren't up. So there was no building back up. So, when last year we made the conference tournament, first time in 15 years. 2 years ago, first full year winning season. And to recruit players to a losing season and tell them, well, our goal is to have a winning season, and they want to know what's the blueprint for it. And you're like, it hasn't been built here yet. Do you want to come?
If you build
do you want to build the blueprint with us, right? So to build a program off of without the history of that, and that's no disrespect to the players before that grinded to even get us to the point to still have a program and go after it. I think recruiting, when you can't meet a player, can't see him in person, and you want to tell them, we're going to make a conference tournament. It's never been done before, and this is how we're going to do it. Oh, yeah, by the end of your freshman year, we're going to change conferences from the Big Sky to the WAC and travel from Seattle to South Texas. Do you want to come? But we did it.
Most people will do it, right? And with the pedigree and the background of knowledge that you bring, I think that's a huge thing. When you look for players, how important is it that the players stay sharp? So as part of the United Women's Soccer League, one of the things that I pride myself in the league is that they send players back ready to play immediately. How important are those summer leagues or those summer opportunities for athletes now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it keeps them sharp because in the end, like anything, well, how do I get better at this? Well, I keep doing it. Well, if I go home and just rejoin my club and train with the U17s, well, in August, I'm not playing against 17-year-olds. I'm playing against 22-year-olds. So getting around your like age and like goals, I think is very important. We actually probably have one of the biggest gaps in the end of the year in the country. Like our school graduates on April 20th. You know, where like a UC Santa Barbara I used to work is still practicing early June because they're still in school, right? So, you know, they have a 6-week gap between sending their team home to getting them back. I have almost 3.5 months almost at times. So how they set up their summer environment becomes very key because 3.5 months is the longest gap we have all year. And it's before the most important part of our season.
And I go back to kind of your time at St. Mary's because they get out right before Memorial Day weekend. Yeah. So you were always having to, and trying to get the girls to come back in July is difficult. But also in terms of philosophy, what are you looking for in a player? I know that a lot of female athletes are looking for opportunities. NAIA is big. I remember growing up that it was D1 or bust was kind of the philosophy, but now there's a lot of alternative. But as it relates to players, what are you looking for when you're going out on the road?
Yeah, for me, it's functionally dominant in something, right? So the question I always ask players, if there's 15 minutes to go in a game, why are you on the field? Do you score the goal? Do you have an assist? Are you great at heading? Whatever. Do you have a flip throw? Do you stop goals? Whatever that is, how are you either going to help us win or prevent the other team from catching up and us stay up 1-0? So I'm looking for someone that has something special to them, and then you surround them with other players. I think, you know, we have jack of all trades on our team, but we don't have many of them. We because they get beat out by specialists, and when the moment of the game calls for a specialist, right? So I believe in recruiting is like a golf bag. There's a reason why you have 12 to 15 clubs, because they all solve different problems, right? And they're all specialists and functionally dominant. You don't put your driver into the sand, right? So the same thing, if I just have fast kids or just have this, I'm going to become one-dimensional. When the game calls for a solution in a different way, my team can't solve it. So we have super technical. We have fast. We have elite ball strikers. We have headers of the ball. We have, you know, Adeleo from Toronto is a top level for our conference, 1v1 defender, right? So it's, for me, it's functionally dominant and then accountable to your development. You know, if we have the same meeting on June as we do in September, we have an issue, right? Are you accountable to your growth as a player and a person?
I think one of the other questions, and it's been kind of talked about here at the conference, is what's the difference between a strong 11 and having a team that is compatible with each other? We talk about having to have the best 11. Well, we're starting to find out and learn from watching so many games now. It's more about the compatibility of your players, and you kind of went to it with strengths. How does compatibility play into the success of your programs?
Yeah, I almost go back to the golf analogy. You don't get three woods and put them in the same hole in the bag, right? Because the bag wouldn't function, you know. So I think being able to diversify your roster in many ways, that's what they look like, where they're from, what their personalities are, what their dominant traits are on and off the field, maximizes the bag. Yep. You know, so I think the staff is the same way. So I think your ability to diversify allows everyone to teach each other and learn from each other, to be leaders in their own without being stepped on by someone who has a matching ability, right? And when you do that, the whole golf bag gets better, because they're not fighting over the same problem or solution. You almost have to respect the next person because they have a different view and a different answer and how to solve the problem than you do, right? So I'm big on diversifying the roster from everything from religion to what they look like. We have married kids. We have not married kids on our team. We're in the state of Utah. We have everything, and I think because of that, we have challenges in growth because they are forced to learn from each other. They can't come in with preconceived ideas. Our kid from Toronto knows nothing about a kid from Cedar City, Utah, who knows nothing about a kid from Osaka, Japan on our team. So they are challenged to get to know each other rather than if we had 4 kids from Sacramento, they all have an assumption of, oh, you went to this private school, you went to I already think I know you just because I know people like you. Here, they have to, we have 2 Sacramento from Single Springs and I forgot where Aubrey's from, somewhere in Sacramento, a San Juan kid and a Folsom Surf kid. That's the closest we have on our team. After that, our Single Springs kid has to talk to the Osaka kid and the kid from Paris and the kid from Madrid and the kid from Salt Lake because she knows nothing about them. So the challenge is they have to communicate to get to know each other, where if you bring them from the same area, they come in with preconceived notions and ideas, and their peak of development has a cap.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with that thought process, and I never thought of the golf analogy either. That makes a lot of sense as a coach too. You got to make sure you have the right clubs because if you're trying to hit a driver while putting, it's going to go a far way, right? Coaches Convention here in Anaheim. You are on a panel here in about an hour or so. What are you looking forward to with that panel, and what's the topic?
Yeah, it's about the future of women's soccer. I have no business being on the panel. It's the head coach of University of New Mexico, Heather Dyke, who's also in CONCACAF and U.S. Soccer. Yep. Marguerite, who just won a national championship at UCLA, and Shelley Smith at South Carolina, who's one of the winningest best coaches in the country, and me. So I don't know why I'm there, but I'm not turning the opportunity down to learn from them and that environment. And but to be honest, I hold my own in any conversation and to give a different view of those because, I've been in the Power 5 or 4 and have been back, and I've held every position, assistant, head, director of ops, volunteer. I've held them all. So I'm excited for it. Carrie Sanchez is the moderator from Colorado College, who won national championships in North Carolina and did well in D3. It was Claremont McKenna. So it's always good because it goes back to diversity, right? I'm sitting on a pretty diverse panel of highly experienced in different ways in different locations in the country, and I'm going to give my input, but I'm also going to learn from questions and answers. And anytime you do a panel and you open it up to the crowd, and you have a U11 coach from Florida and a university coach from France in the same room, who knows what the questions we're going to be asked.
You're going to get a lot of questions today regarding certain things and topics, I'm sure. Maybe even some of the black belt questions that might come up.
100%.
Because I know you're just finishing that. But before I let you go and get ready for the panel, I got to ask, Coach, what is your why? Why do you continue to find ways to improve and help your community?
I love that question. To do what's never been done. To our knowledge, in Division I women's soccer, there's only been 3 head coaches to coach at 2 different schools. Kadani, who got the choice, Washington State, USC, Georgia. Austin Daniels, Colorado, Maryland, and me. So when people lose opportunities and jobs, I want to sit in front of them and be like, I made it back. You can make it back. Because right now, that's a daunting task. It took me 5 years to get back. And here's the perspective. The year I got Southern Utah, over 14 coaches that don't look like me were getting their second or third job. That year, 14 people. I was just the third in the last 40 years, right? So my shift has been to that. I won't lie, make money for my family, and have a successful experience for them. Challenge people to do what they've never been done on the field. There's nothing better than a student athlete seeing themselves grow to a level that they never thought they could, or they thought they could and never got pushed to get there, because everyone wants everyone to feel as comfortable as possible. I'm a challenger. But yeah, like, and for me, the convention's great for my why, because I'm in a bubble in Cedar City, Utah. I don't coach club. I'm not around a lot of it anymore. But when I walk through the convention, and I'm pretty active on social media, I have people come up and say, congrats, first conference tournament in 15 years. I'm like, who are you? And they're like, I coach a rec program in Maryland, but I saw you, and thanks for inspiring us.
Awesome.
And I'm like, who's up? Like, because I'm just in a bubble. And I'm like, no, we just beat Texas Rio Grande. I'm hugging my 30 kids on my team, not realizing every tweet, every Instagram, every post from me or the school, or, the stuff other organizations like yours and, Push Out and football or whoever. There's so many people in the country that might inspire. But I don't know why I don't think that way, because when Kadani was winning and going to the next program, and Clive was doing it at Portland, all these guys, I was looking at them and going, so we can do it? Okay, how'd you do it? Well, I worked, I did this, I studied, I competed, I failed, I came back, I failed, I came back, right? So, I think the convention's great for that experience. So, it's awesome, and thanks for giving me a platform to tell that story and hopefully inspire more people. Like, I've done well, and I've lost my jobs, and I'm still here, right? And so many people, especially that look like me, when they lose their job, because history says people that don't look like us aren't in the hiring committee, we don't get that many extra opportunities as others. So I stand in front of them like, hey, I went to a PWI, predominantly white institution, that was 300 in the RPI, and I bet on myself and took whatever opportunity it was, and told my wife, we're moving to Utah from Berkeley and Walnut Creek, where we were at Cal. And she said, okay. And she's like, you think we can win there? I'm like, I don't get on a plane if I think it's going to crash.
It's true. It's true. Well, Coach, I know you got that panel, and I really appreciate everything and the insight. I know you and I will talk more often and
100%.
spend some time together. I don't know if I can make it to Utah, though. It's too cold for me, Coach.
It's a little chilly.
That Sacramento Walnut Creek life, man. I gotta stay close to home. So
I mean, it's 55 degrees in here, and you have a beanie on, so that'll tell people the story.
It is 55 degrees, and I got my arms folded too because I'm a little cold, but we'll see. So, Coach, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Have fun on that panel.
Go T-Birds.